Welcome to another edition of the Community and Becoming for the Love of Creatives podcast. You've got your connections and community guy hosts, Dwight and Maddox. And today our featured guest is Guillermo Rios. Welcome to the podcast, Guillermo.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
We are so thrilled that you could join us. I know that we've experienced some of your work in different places, seen you featured at North Park and seen you in just a lot of surprising places in the arts circles in town. But I know that there's a lot more to you. Could you briefly share with our community who the real Guillermo is and what you're all about?
Well, thank you for the invitation again. And yeah, my name is Guillermo Rios, and I'm the creator and artist and designer behind Studio Guillermo Rios. In my studio, I transform denim and other fabrics into wearable pieces of art. I paint directly. I use denim and fabric as a canvas to tell my story, to tell my memories when I was growing up between Mexico and United States. So a lot of what I do and a lot of my art has that essence of memory, and whatever comes to my mind, that's what I paint. And it has now become like a very cool mixture of art meets fashion, fashion meets art. And I'm so happy that different circles, like you said, the art world and also the fashion world is welcoming and it's intrigued, and they want to know more about it. And I'm so happy. So yeah, I met you guys at a Frisco art exhibit, I remember, but I've seen you in
Yes.
other places.
That was the
And
first day we actually got to see your art, and it's very striking. I mean, it drew me into your booth instantly. I mean, because I'm a little bit of a fashion person. I love clothing, and I think the cool thing is there's just no two pieces that are alike. They're all statement pieces, and they're all one of a kind. There's
exactly, there's one of a kind. They're all one of a kind. I've tried to replicate sometimes, but it's almost impossible because I receive the piece, for example, the jacket, and I just everything goes through memory. I just try to remember growing up in Jalisco and the fields of Jalisco and what I used to saw, the sugar cane, the cornfields, all of that. And then that's where all my abstract lines come from. So some some jackets may have the abstract lines and some may not. So it's hard for me to replicate. So yeah, you're right. They're all one of a kind pieces, and yeah.
well, and very tedious to create. It's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing that I really like is for people to believe, I mean, to think and to feel that the art is it's real. It's like paint. So you could actually feel the texture. And I really like feeling the texture in the garments. Uh, some of the presentations that I've had, people ask me, "Oh, where do you print?" And I'm like, I don't print. I spend like nothing is printed. I spend hours, sometimes days creating one piece or even months. I have a jacket, I paint on it, and then it keeps talking to me and it says, no, I need more. And then I have to go back, and it is tedious. And a lot of the work that I do, a lot of little circles, a lot of dots, a lot of lines, eyes, uh, yeah, it takes a long time and it's very tedious, but it's become an outlook for me. I don't even I start working with my stuff, and I can start at 9 a.m. and it's like 5 or 6 p.m. and I'm still painting, and I don't feel like I'm really working. It feels very natural. It feels very, very me, and I enjoy it a lot.
Do
That's a
you do
beautiful.
custom pieces? Does somebody bring you a jacket that they already possess, maybe, and say, do something for me?
Yes, I've done a lot of those custom pieces, but I find it hard to, like, for example, at the beginning when people knew who I was, they would say, "Oh, can you draw, maybe can you draw my dog or a cat or something?" And I love that. I think I can do it. I've done it, but I don't think now that I have my brand, I like to stick to just whatever's going to come to my mind. And I've gained the trust of clients and friends, and they're like, "Here's my jacket. Paint whatever you want with it." And those jackets are like my favorites.
Oh,
They've
that,
become, yeah.
yeah, it sounds incredible. As I hear you share your story, I can't help but in my mind start tracing how you've been on a journey your whole life. And you're kind of at a place where you are very firm in what it is that you're doing. You act with a certain level of confidence, and it sounds like you're trusted as a source. So, do you do any kind of teaching for what it is that you're doing?
I've done a couple classes and teaching like art and stuff,
Mhm.
but it hasn't been like not teaching paint or art as a grand scale. No, not yet. But um, I mean, I'm open to it for sure.
Guillermo, how did you arrive here? Because I'm thinking you probably didn't just say, "Oh, I think I'll do art and I'm going to paint on denim." There must have been like a series of experiences and different forays into the art world before you actually got where you are. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so I've always had a passion for both things, fashion and art. And when I was in college, I would like paint and do canvases. I have canvases of my own that I paint, very abstract, very out of the norm. I would use different, I love the texture of abstract art and all that. So that's what I was doing. And one day, like maybe like 4 years ago, I said, "Oh," some of my friends came over to my place and they said, "Oh, that's so cool." And everybody kept saying about that one piece that was so cool and had a lot of texture. So one day I said, "What if I'm able to take that cool piece that my friends talk about and just wear it? Why not?" So I gathered paint and I got it and I mixed it and I started playing with it. I did one my very first jacket and I wore it out in a dinner and everybody was asking me for it. And it was in that moment that, oh, somebody asked me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, who's the designer?" And it was just an old jacket that I had. It was white denim and I painted it black. And in that moment, when they asked me, "Who's the designer?" I don't know. I felt like something fell over me. And I said, "Wait, I am the designer." Like I
Oh,
thought about that. I thought about it, and it was that specific moment. The next day, I knew that dinner, that night, I knew exactly where I was going with this. I knew I had so many ideas. I'm like, I need business cards, I need this, I need that. I had like five people, stranger people in a restaurant ask me about the jacket. So I said, this is what I have to do. And I tried to tide and I tried to gather everything into that moment. And I said, what was I painting? I was thinking about my hometown. I was thinking about Jalisco, Mexico. I was thinking about Denim of Texas. That's me. That's what I need to do. And it was in that moment that I don't know, everything fell into place. And yeah, that's I can go to that specific moment where I said, okay, the next day I'm gonna get more jackets. I went to like a thrift store and I bought jackets and I made a couple jackets and my friends were like, "Oh my gosh, they're so cool. Keep doing it, keep doing it." So I just kept going and going and now now I have collections, and I'm so happy. Yeah, but it was that moment.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful origin story.
So when we saw your work at the booth that day, and looking behind you right now in the scene right behind you, I see black paint on white fabric. I see white paint on denim. I see white paint on black fabric. I haven't seen colorful stuff yet. Do you do that as well?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a question that everybody asks me because I do not paint in color. Not for my brand, at least not for Studio Guillermo Rios and what I show. And people often ask me that. And there is a reason why I don't use color yet. I know how to use it. I know color theory, all of that. But I'm at the stage where I draw everything through my memory. And I think of black and white, kind of like if you're seeing a photograph, a picture, and you see a black and white picture, and it's a core memory of something. So that memory is what I try to translate into the fabric. And it's in black and white. And I use the word a lot of, I use the word duality a lot in my work. So duality, for example, Mexico, United States, Spanish, English, um, hamburgers, tacos, like all of that. That word is very predominant in my work, black and white.
Yeah.
So that alone is already it's already like the core of my work, the duality core of my work. And I feel it makes the collection more cohesive. I only do denim and a couple other fabrics, and it's all black and white. It's either blue denim with white or lighter denim with black. But it's just that, and I like, yeah, like I said, I let the memory speaks louder than the color. I don't want my memory fighting with. In my mind, I feel like it will fight with orange or with red or with colorful patterns that I do. I mean, I have what I call botanical memory gardens that I remember like going to my grandmother's house, and she was always in her garden, and I remember her giving me like little pieces of a plant to take to my mom, and my mom will plant it, and then the neighbors will come and my mom will get it. Was like this connection, this of plants and gardens, and I remember that. And I have images, and I have pieces where I have like flowers, very cool flowers, but they're black, and I feel like it makes a contrast, or they're white, and they make that contrast of memory and keeping that core memory alive.
And it's also a great signature. I mean, it's definitely a way that makes your brand stand apart because you're working within that constraint.
Yes, I think that's one of the things that we struggle with as artists sometimes, and that is to find our style.
Hmm.
And I think that you're smart in some regards here, because even though people may be saying, "Ooh, I want color," you're really establishing the brand and getting it really situated firmly as his this is what the brand is. And once it's fully established and people know you for that look, people will be able to say, "Oh, that's a Guillermo Rios."
Yeah,
Then you can do anything you want to do.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's it's stronger in a way, it's bold, and it keeps this also this elegance. I feel like black and white is so elegant together, and I feel very comfortable wearing black, and I feel very comfortable wearing white, and I like to keep it like that. And funny, my favorite color is orange. My favorite color is orange, but I don't paint and I don't own anything orange. I just love looking at the color. I have a great canvas like it's right here in front of me, and I'm like, I love this painting, and it's just orange, like different types of orange and abstract orange painting, and I love it. But I love just looking at it. I don't want to
If,
wear it or anything.
if someone came to you with a denim jacket and said, I'll pay you whatever you want, but I want color, would you do it?
I think I will make a, I mean,
A
uh,
custom piece,
a custom piece. I'll make a custom piece, and I would have to find a way to say, yes, I'll do it, but let me paint whatever I want. And maybe I can paint an orange of the symbols I make. Maybe I could. But I've tried it. I've tried painting in color. I've done my symbols, my lines, my dots, my eyes, my faces, the faces that I draw. I've done them in white shirts, and then I add color, and some of them I'm able to say yes. Some of them I still have that I'm like, no, I don't. It doesn't resonate. I don't know. I just let my feelings.
you're working intuitively.
Yeah, I let my feelings tell me.
Yeah.
Same thing when I get the garments, I put them on the table, and I let the garment tells me where the placement of the painting goes. I don't know where it goes. I don't know where I'm gonna paint. If it's gonna be in the shoulder, or I have an idea, oh, maybe I like a shoulder drawing or something, or a side, but I never know. It's all very sporadic, and it's all very like, let me see how I feel that morning, and let me see what memory comes to mind. So I think I would do it. I would say, yes, I'll paint you an orange jacket, but I will have to think about it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
I
Makes
love the
sense.
way I love the way that you're sharing that your process is very much about being in the moment. There's not a big push for production. It's really just where the art takes you, and that's a beautiful thing.
And I also use it as an outlook of expressing who I am, and letting the jacket be the conversation piece, letting the jacket as fashion, but also letting the art being the conversation.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I've had multiple people tell me, "Oh, can you draw this or can you draw that?" I'm like, I can draw it, but if, like, for example, if you give me I don't know, you want a specific flower, I'm like, I can draw it, but it wouldn't, it give me like the satisfaction of drawing the flower. Let me draw you the flower that I think this jacket needs. That gives me the satisfaction.
I think that it's because you listen to where the art takes you and you've leaned into being fully who you are that it's opened some doors for you. When we met you in that space in Frisco, I don't know how much you had to deal with there being a little bit of resistance, but I learned that your putting your pieces there was a bit of a discussion because there was this tension. It was all about visual arts and is it visual art if it's wearable? And oh my goodness. But there you were, and you shined, you rocked that while you were there.
I'm glad you're telling me that, because I've been in other spaces where, and that's probably been like a little bit of my struggle going into this, because in some spaces in the art world, they kind of see it as craft, and
Yes.
and I'm like, it's not craft if it has a story,
Oh,
and yet is not craft because it's canvas. It doesn't matter what the canvas is. Like an artist that's going to paint on a frame on a canvas, that's cloth. That's like denim.
We're always going to have this. In the photography world, when digital came on board, all the film photographers go, "That's not photography." Well, a few years later, and film is just all but died. Everything's digital now. Um, and then there were those that okay, if you take it with a digital camera, it's still photography, but if you manipulate it on Photoshop in the computer, it's not photography anymore.
Oh.
So we always going to struggle with people that don't like change,
And
and the
it's
world that progresses and moves on without those people,
that's
in my
right.
opinion. Um,
Yeah.
I know that this is a little shift in conversation, but I think our audience is always interested in this aspect of an artist's life and an artist's career or a creative's art life. Is the painting, is your brand, is it your full-time gig, or is this a side hustle and you work a job of some sort in conjunction?
Yes, I have a job. I have a job too. This has been the it started as a hobby. SGR, Studio Guillermo Rios started as a hobby, and now it's taking a lot. It's taking a big jump. But yeah, I'm actually a professor. I teach Spanish literature and Spanish linguistics. So I teach at Dallas colleges, and I've been teaching in different high schools around DFW. And there's I decided to have that career because I felt that I had to teach exactly where I felt comfortable, and I feel very comfortable being Mexicano, and I feel very comfortable speaking Spanish, and I wanted to show that to the community. So yeah, I'm a Spanish teacher. I studied literature, I studied linguistics, and that's another way to incorporate my art into the stories, I don't know, of Don Quixote, or stories that I know of literature. So yeah, that's my other passion, and it's also a passion, and it's also something that I really, really love doing, going to work and teaching Spanish.
Well,
There's
thank
nothing
you.
better than having two passions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't see very much of that. We had another guest at one point who was in a corporate environment and he absolutely loved his day job, but he was an actor when he wasn't doing corporate. And he said, I don't ever intend to give up my corporate job to do acting. I love them both equally, and they both feed my life in ways that I just wouldn't give them up. And it sounds like you're in a similar situation, and that's kind of rare.
Yeah.
Most people are in a day job that puts food on the table and pays bills that they don't love in order to have the time and the money to do their creating and their art. So I think you're in a very special place there. And I love this conversation because it lets people know that are listening to this right now that that is a thing, that you
Yeah.
can have it all. People
Yeah.
laugh
Yeah.
when somebody says you can have it all, but you can have it all.
Yeah. I'm so like grateful and thankful and grateful for the opportunities that this is why I gravitate towards painting in black and white, because it's a memory, and I feel like I'm also doing an homage to my ancestors, to I don't know, to my parents that pushed for me to study in United States, to my grandmother that said, yeah, 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 come to United States, study over here, and don't leave your roots, and stay together, speak Spanish all the time, and learn. Don't let go of Spanish if you study in United States. Don't, like, so it's all like a circle, and it all resonates with what I do, and I feel that I'm doing the right thing, because it doesn't feel for me like I'm working, or it doesn't feel like pressure. I'm doing it and I'm enjoying it, and I'm keeping with my story, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful, and my intention is to show the world, the community, a little bit about my story that a lot of us have, a lot of Latinos or a lot of Mexicans in the space have, and I've met great artists who have the same story. We do different mediums, but I mean, I'm happy.
Well,
I think being an artist as you are, the type of artist that you are, and teaching the way you do in local educational establishments, and I don't know, maybe you've already figured this out, but I think that uniquely positions you to be in front of a pretty significant percentage of people that are probably your customers.
Yeah.
I would venture to say that showing off your work when you're in your educational job would probably give you
Yeah.
access to a lot of people that want what you provide.
And I'm also grateful that my job had a like a contest through the art uh art business council called on my own time. Like, what did these customers or what did these employees do on their own time?
yeah,
So I
Is that
submitted,
Business Council for the Arts?
it
yes,
is.
yes, Business
Yes.
Council for the Arts. Yes, and I submitted my first ever jacket, that jacket that I told you about at the beginning. I submitted it and it won an award. And I said, you know what? And it was Nancy Nasher who gave me the award. And I'm like, you know what? And Nancy Nasher talked to me. She said, I need to talk to you. And she pulled me aside and she said, I haven't seen nothing like this. Keep doing it. And I said, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm just gonna do it because for her that she's on to the art world, you know. I said if people can recognize it and if they gave me that award, that's a sign that I need to continue and that I have to it's a passion and people saw it and gravitate. So yeah, I'm also grateful that I had that award on my own time and that also helped me push more.
So, Guillermo, what's the goal? Where would you like to see this go? Like, is there, like, I'm thinking you've made a connection with Nancy Nasher. We've met her. Dwight went through um, can't think of what it's called now. Dwight, say it.
Yes, I went through a BCA program that brings businesses and people in the arts organizations together.
Okay.
I, yeah,
You
I
know,
went.
I'm thinking Nancy knows a lot of people in the fashion industry, having owning a mall
Yeah.
where some of the most expensive brands and boutiques in the globe are in that mall. And I don't know whether those brands ever take on anything, but you see like what they call a collaboration. I mean,
Yeah.
even Gap, you see them collaborating all the time with designers to bring pieces in that are a limited edition. Of course, they're not one of a kind, and that's where it might get a little bit tricky. Since you paint every piece individually, hard to say how that would work, but my God, it would certainly be worth exploring.
Yeah. And that's truly the goal. That's my goal. And my goal is to be in both gallery spaces and fashion houses. Yes. I mean, why not? If I started, why not? And I'm not, I know everything takes steps and it's a process and I'm learning like even with this podcast, like it's the first podcast that I do and it's a process that I have to take. But I'm open. I see myself in Paris. I see myself in Italy. I see myself in Rome and Milan and New York. Yes, I do.
Well, we're honored to be a part of that journey. And when you come into these spaces, when you get on a mic on something that can be heard for years after you lay it down, you never know who's going to hear it.
Yes, yes.
You spoke a minute ago about all the dreams, all the things that you want to do with this brand. And what we know and what we talk about a lot on this podcast is that you can have those goals and those dreams and know what you want it to look like. But the piece that so many people miss out on is to get there is where community comes in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the art world tends to not operate that way. We operate in seclusion, isolation, and when you said, "Wow, I got Nancy Nasher's attention." Now, granted, she's a local person, so she's not a celebrity globally,
Yeah.
but who knows how many people she knows? But that's community right there. Even if it's just one person, that's
Yeah.
community, and navigating that relationship, building that relationship is how you get where you want to go. It's not, we always say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. I believe
Now,
that.
now,
Yeah.
now, granted, once you get there because of the who you know, then you got to show up with the what you know. You have to have both.
Yes.
But the what you know rarely ever gets you there. It's the who you know that gets you there. And to have her perhaps in your back pocket, how long ago did this take place?
This was a year ago's award. Yeah.
And have you had any contact with her since then?
I've had contact with a couple of her people that they offer me to, oh, go to Dallas Fashion Week, or maybe you be good at Austin Fashion Week. And I presented at Austin Fashion Week, and it was like, for me, and from a designer perspective and artist, it was a success. Like, I've met so many people. Now I have like multiple things coming up and multiple shows that have opened because of that connection. So I'm very grateful, and yeah, I can just imagine where I can land if I'm a believer in that. You need the community, you need the people, you need to have your art or whatever you do, but you also need the people to support. And the spaces that I've been is because I know somebody who pushed me, who helped me. That's the way I've done it too.
I, Dwight and I have a connection that I think would be really great to introduce you to. He is a gentleman that has been on my previous podcast, which was called The Authentic Gay Man, and he's been a guest on this podcast. Now, he is currently living in Spain. Is that right? No, Germany. He's living in Germany. But
Okay.
he lived for a period of time in New York City and has been involved in Fashion Week in New York City and knows some people, I'm sure.
There you go. Community.
Yeah.
So, and that's what it's all about. So we're all about putting people together when we see a possible collaboration or
Collaboration.
an area where two people can benefit each other. He's um he's in his upper 20s or maybe around 30, and he's just a great person, a great human being. But yeah, we'll see what we can do to put you together with him.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And for anyone listening that wants to get to know him better, look in the feed for Douglas Henry Lewis.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, great
Good.
young man. I have pretty regular interactions with him. We've had some emails just in the last couple of weeks. He's trying to get situated in Germany, and it's been a little bit of a rough ride. But
Some culture shock.
yeah, yeah,
I bet.
yeah,
I
yeah.
bet.
But he's doing it. So tell us a little bit more about, you know, what you're currently doing to build community.
I've been trying to stay connected and go to different events and just showing up at events. A lot of what I'm doing is not necessarily, for example, giving me any, I'm not getting paid or anything, but I'm still showing up. I'm still trying to meet people and build so that people know who I am. Basically like planting the seed. That's what I'm doing.
Yes.
planting the seed
Yes.
here and there, and going and showing up and seeing how I can help. I've also donated jackets to Latino Pride, and I've donated jackets to 𝗵𝗃𝗀. I was very happy that they said, "Oh, would you want to donate?" I was like, definitely, yes. Here's two jackets, and they took pictures of it. So
That's quite an accomplishment. Not everybody gets, I mean, to put some of their work in 𝗵𝗃𝗃. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 is a pretty,
yes. So the way that that happened, I did Dallas Fashion Week, and the host of Dallas Fashion Week was a direct connection to 𝗵𝗃𝗃. She's like the 𝗵𝗃𝗃 representative, and she did it after the runway. They made me like they told me, okay, walk on stage so that people know who you are, and then they stopped me, and she did like a little interview, and she said, wait a minute, there in front of everybody in the runway, she said, I need you for 𝗵𝗃𝗃. And I said, wait, I've always wanted to be in 𝗵𝗃𝗃. Like I know the how big it is. And she said, okay. She called somebody and she said, get his name, get his information. He's gonna come to 𝗵𝗃𝗃. And that's exactly how it was.
that's part of showing up, Guillermo.
Yeah,
You know,
part of showing up.
I'm gonna say this not necessarily to you, yes to you,
Mhm.
but for the benefit of our listeners as well, because this is something that Dwight and I have a lot of conversations about, something we've learned in our journey, something that he's probably maybe a little bit better at than I am. You know, I'm retired now basically, and kind of at a time in my life where I'm kind of wanting to pull back a little bit, but he's going 90 to nothing strong. But one of the things we've learned, and because I've led networking groups, business networking groups, and different types of things like this. I've created groups and led groups, organized groups, you name it, over the years. And one of the things we definitely know is, and this is the most forgotten piece, is it's not enough to make the connections, to go to all the events and to make the connections if you don't follow up.
Preach.
Yeah.
The follow up is the most important piece of it. So you met somebody, you gave them a business card, you got their business card, and if there's no follow up, it just disappears into blackness.
Yeah.
And the follow up is not just a follow up one time. You have to follow up and follow up and follow up because it's about building a relationship with these people, and that happens over time. In the years when I was really doing a lot of networking, we talked about people want to do business with, and in this case, collaborate with people that they know, like, and trust. And those three things only happen over time with ongoing interaction. You don't build know, like, and trust without ongoing interaction. So the follow-up is, well, what's the word? There's a
Well,
sentence.
success is in the
Yes,
follow-up.
the success is in the follow-up. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dwight. I can always depend on him to pull some obscure title out of his butt. You know, he just oop, there it is. Um, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I also take it as a advice because it's hard sometimes to follow up. So thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder.
You know, I would recommend some type of a system. We use an online platform called Trello, and Trello is a project management tool, basically.
Okay.
But you would for something like this, you would, create let's say contacts in a certain particular field. You'd have what they call a list,
Yeah.
you know, and then each person would have a card, and then you'd have checklists and things, and you would track the time, the dates where you have reached out to them, and so you can keep track of that. And you have a reference point where every Monday you go in and say, who do I need to follow up with this week?
Yeah.
And it's all there in a system to keep you on board. Trello has a free version,
I
even
want to
a
write it
paid
down.
version. Excuse me,
I want to write it down as you're talking
T
about this.
R E L L O. They have a free version, but even the paid version is really cheap. And there's a little bit of a learning curve. They've got tutorials and all kinds of stuff. And there's a gazillion YouTube videos that can show you a walkthrough. They even have an area where you can go in and look for templates of already built out Trello
Oh,
boards. They
okay,
call them
okay.
boards.
Well,
Hmm.
And you could say, searching for a board for fashion, I don't know, something, and just see what you come up with. But it's not hard to create a board from scratch once you've watched some tutorials, and I figured it out. If I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out. But it's a great tool.
well,
Thank
you
you for
also need to lean on people as a resource as well. And someone that I can recommend that we've had on the show, episode number 73, features Eli Delaney.
okay.
And he actually wrote a book called The Follow-Up Code that
Ooh,
walks you through a way that you can make sure that you keep in contact and
Yeah, he teaches a complete system on
yeah.
how to follow up and build your network. I don't really
that's
like that word.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been like planting the seed everywhere, and now I have to start gathering, like you said, gathering. I
Yeah.
know people, I know photographers, I know makeup artists, I know models, I know art people, I know directors of galleries. So now I know that I know they're there. I need to follow up and I need to gather everything.
The garden analogy is absolutely perfect. You know, you till the soil, you plant the seeds, then you've got to be sure and weed the garden. You've got to be sure to keep the pests out. You have got to water the plants and all of the above. And then at the end, you get a harvest.
A
And then the
bountiful
cycle starts
harvest.
all over again. We're running short on time, and I want to cover one more base before we wrap it up because we have yet to talk about our third component. We've covered creativity and we've covered community. Let's talk a little bit about becoming because we, and this is a kind of a universal thing. You can spend the time probably looking back on the last few years since you started, 3 or 4 years, what you said, since you started painting on denim and see how far you've come. And you can see who you can literally, if you spend some time reflecting, see who you had to become in order to get where you are right now. And if
Yes.
you do a flashback in just a sentence or two, can you tell us who you're aware that you had to, and it's an inner thing. It's not out
Yeah.
something out here. It's a something inside here you had to become to get where you are right now. Can you put a couple of labels on that? A description,
I
maybe?
yeah, I think I had to become maybe secure on myself, and I had to become uh I had to trust myself to do it. And I had to find my identity and be comfortable and be happy with exactly who I am. And I feel like it's a process. It's a process, but around around everything that is happening, having a voice and having a voice not only for me but for my culture, for who I am, for the people that I know. I think that that's what pushed me to continue and to become who I am as an artist, as a creative, for sure.
Okay, you get an award for delivering that so eloquently and so concisely. That was amazing. And I just want the people out in podcast land listening to this to know that he did not know I was going to ask that question.
No,
That
no,
was
no.
not rehearsed or scripted. That was straight off the top of his
Yeah,
head. And I am blown away.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I can deliver it again. It came out of it truly came out of my
It
heart.
was so articulate. I encourage you when you get off the phone to write that down. When you get off the call to write as best you can your memory, write that down. That is powerful. Now,
Thank you.
next question. We pretty much know that what gets us here won't get us there. You've got a next stage now. You've gotten to this plateau. You've received or achieved a certain level of what you set out to achieve. Now you've set bigger goals farther out there. You named those a little bit earlier. Off the top of your head, who does Guillermo need to become now? That inner thing in order to get to the next stage. Something more than what you just described.
Yeah, that's powerful. I probably have to become a, I would have to become a receptor of many information and also I feel like I have to be like a pioneer. I feel like it's not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but maybe adding to the wheel. That's the way I want to describe it. When I say receptor, I mean, like for example, taking advice from experts or taking advice from other people. I did not know what you just shared about having a database of all these people and follow up. Having all of that and taking it into consideration and being aware that the help exists, I think that's what I have to become in order to
So,
get there.
in a nutshell, what I'm really hearing you say that you're not saying is you need to just become really
Open, yeah.
open and receptive. You said
Yeah,
receptive.
yeah. Open and receptor,
Spot
yeah.
on.
Yes.
Spot on.
Because I could be like, oh no, I already know how to do this. And I'm like, no, like I need this app. I need to follow up. I need, and that's what I said earlier. I'm like, thank you for reminding me that yes, I'm planting the seed, but I also have to follow up. I have a great connection there. I have a great connection here. And often I
Yep.
just, you know,
Seeds with no water and fertilizer don't ever grow.
That's
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of that you would need that inner thing? I mean, I'm kind of also hearing as you talk about it, you didn't say this, but I'm hearing that you're going to have to step way out of your comfort zone. Is that accurate?
Yes, definitely. I also have to let go of certain things for sure. And
Can you name one or two things that you need to let go of? That's brilliant because
yeah,
it's always not, becoming isn't always about just embracing new things. It's about letting go of the shit that's no longer working.
yeah. Well, I can just think of like there's this ideas of like cookie cutter ideas that you have to fulfill. So I feel like breaking those ideas would propel me and will help me launch. For example, thinking that I have to be in certain spaces in order to make it. I feel like I feel like there's other places for me to go, and I have to maybe let go of people, maybe spaces that are not helping me, you know, and recognizing that in the world, I mean, I don't want to, I don't would like to say it, but like in the world, sometimes in fashion and in art, there's a little bit of like people pulling back and people, you know, like I sometimes it happens like that. So I have to be open and receptive to if somebody else is giving me a hand, maybe go that way or go this other way and be open
I
to
think
it.
you're right. I think when we tie it to specific, I got to get this person on my side and I've got to be in this space. And what we're doing is we're cutting off the generosity of the universe.
Yeah.
We're saying I'll only accept it if it comes looking like this in this box with this
Yes.
bow on it.
Yeah. That's what I'm referring to. Yeah. If just thinking that that one route is the route, or
I,
thinking that road is the road.
I also want to recommend that everything you've stated now that you write down as well. This is really powerful stuff. And I'm going to turn it over to Dwight because we got about 2 minutes left and we're going to wrap up. But wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow.
I
Thank
just want to say that another thing that comes to mind as you describe that is how there are a lot of ways that we can only think that there's the way to get in through the front door.
you.
But anyone who's ever wanted to get into an exclusive club has always known that the shortcut is being able to find a path to the side door.
Yeah.
Or the back door for that matter.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or the window. Yeah. Most definitely, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Like just letting go of certain paths that maybe wasn't the right path. Maybe I needed to do this other path. So just recognizing that, I think that's the thing that I have to let go of and just move on.
I want to first of all give you props for being a man of arts and letters. Representation matters, and it's important that people can see you in the classroom.
Yeah.
And I hope that you do everything that you can to show all of you, because what you have in the world of fashion and art is an amazing gift. And I know that you're planting seeds in the classroom as well, because let's face it, there are a lot of people that may have had some really horrible experiences with people who didn't care about what it was to have um, well to have an appreciation for the deeper culture, the giants whose shoulders we're standing on.
Yeah.
And it means so much to have someone that's able to tell your story in your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guillermo, I want to acknowledge you for really showing up. I mean, I felt like this was very, very down to earth, very real, very authentic. And there was no pretense or putting on any airs. And what a gift you have given not only Dwight and I, but our entire audience.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you for making it a safe space for me to just say what I need to say. So, and thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for the opportunity and great questions. And it just helped me just talk about what I really felt. So, thank you.
It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Likewise.
And now I can't figure out how to turn the recording off. There we go. They changed it.